So welcome to anyone who may be joining us through YouTube Live or Facebook Live, as well as through Zoom. I'm going to get started here in about another minute and a half. We'll let a few other people come in. During the course of the presentation today, we will allow people to post questions in the chat area on Zoom. If you're coming to us through one of the live streaming channels, such as YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, or wherever you might be watching this, if you go over to the Zoom webinar link, you will be able to post things in the chat. We're not going to be able to address questions on some of the other live streaming platforms. If I could maybe get one or two people in the chat area to let me know if, one, you can hear me, and two, you can see my screen that should be sharing out that says top 22 e-commerce challenges in 2022. All right, perfect. Wait about another 30 seconds and we will get rolling with today's presentation. All right, let's go ahead and get started here so that we don't waste anybody's time. Again, welcome. Thanks for joining us here on today's live presentation, wherever you might be coming from. Today, we're going to be talking about the top e-commerce challenges that businesses might be having this year. Just a little bit about myself. For anyone here who doesn't know me, I have been basically creating e-commerce websites since the beginning of the internet, and I have developed literally hundreds and hundreds of websites. I've worked with an assortment of companies throughout this time to help them grow their online sales. So that's basically my credentials, is that I've been doing this a long time and I've learned a thing or two, primarily from my clients. Not last week, about 2.5 weeks ago now, I guess, I was doing a keynote address at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and I ran into an old friend of mine. We had done a previous webinar together. His name is Ty Talbot. And we decided that we should do another joint webinar together. And that was kind of the starting point of today's presentation. So Ty's going to be joining us a little bit later, and I'm going to give him about 15 or 20 minutes to talk about some of the things that he does, which you'll see ties in specifically with what we're talking about here today. Now, back when I was a kid, the world was inspired by the US sending a man to the moon, myself included. I think most of us as kids growing up, we all thought, hey, that would be really cool to be an astronaut. Well, today we're inspired by a different vision. And one of the things that I think actually still inspires us is going out and exploring new worlds. SpaceX actually is a company that's taking this to heart, and they are launching many of their rockets from Vandenberg Air Force Base in Central California. Now, my daughter and her husband live near there, and I've actually had the privilege of seeing a launch. It turns out my son-in-law works as a fire captain at Vandenberg Air Force Base. So whenever they have a launch there, they have to be prepared in case something goes wrong and it starts fire, which obviously has happened. In fact, the first 3 SpaceX flights blew up. When all of this was going on, Neil Armstrong and Gene Cernan called the privatization of space travel reckless. Many of our elected officials were also doubters. They were all concerned that private companies didn't have the resources to make space travel safe, and they didn't want to lose government control. But SpaceX and Elon Musk had a different approach. Rather than spending years refining a concept, they had lots of failures and lots of explosions. They learned by breaking things. Today, Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet. But the fact is you actually don't have to experience a ton of failures like Elon did. You can learn from other people's success and from their mistakes. You can see on the slide up here that Elon obviously had a lot of failures in his life on his way to becoming the richest man on the planet. But in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, SpaceX did the impossible. As a private company, they sent a manned crew to the International Space Station. Now they routinely launch rockets over and over again and land them in the Pacific Ocean right off the coast of Vandenberg Air Force Base. To date, they have launched over 152 times and now launch a rocket about once a week. That's more than the entire space shuttle program combined. And this is really the goal of every business leader. It should be to inspire imagination, whether that be your employees or your customers. Regardless of what you're selling, it's your job to make the magic happen. Now, let me ask you a pop quiz here. Can you name the last 3 court justices of the Supreme Court? If anybody can name the last 3 justices of the Supreme Court, go ahead and pop those into the chat. No one? Okay, well, let's make this a little bit simpler here. Can you name 3 people who you ate dinner with last year? Might have been at Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, whenever it was. Can you name 3 people you ate dinner with last year? The answer is probably. Yes, Mitch, we did eat dinner together. So the point is that you have a close relationship with them, and therefore you're able to name them because they're important in your life. Now, let me ask you one final question. Can you name your top 3 customers, their first names? This, in fact, is what you should be looking for. You want to be able to have that kind of a relationship with your customers that you were able to pop them off the top of your head, know who your customers are on a first name basis, and have a relationship with them. So as you can see, I created a little cartoon about that here. Now, if you had to pick just one of the following, which one best describes what you're selling? You're in the e-commerce business selling physical products shipped to customers, whether that be retail or wholesale. You sell digital information products, software as a service, such as selling a course, membership, or software. You do affiliate marketing, selling other companies' products, usually through an affiliate link. You sell clients services such as coaching, consulting, you're an agency or do freelancing work, or you're a small local business selling to a local geographic market. The fact is that all of these are some form of e-commerce, and we are going to talk about how different things are challenging your business today. Nothing has propelled e-commerce like the conditions of 2021. This has made it so that this is a great time to have an online business. But while there are lots of exciting and positive changes, there are still online businesses that struggle with the challenges that e-commerce brings. We can see here that back in 2019 to 2020, that we actually had a 10-year growth spurt in e-commerce in a matter of 3 months. And that projection is going to continue. So this is a fantastic time to have an online business. But as I said, there are some challenges that as owners of online businesses, we all face. Fraud prevention and security, the importance of a customer experience, running effective marketing campaigns, choosing the right technology and partners and keeping up with the changing technology and trends, struggling to meet staffing needs amid the current worker shortages, and lack of capital and cash flow. We're going to talk about each of these in detail. But some of the other top e-commerce challenges you can see up here. And I'm going to be conducting future webinars where we talk about each of these other challenges as well. So I wanted to mention them here today, and we'll go into detail here on these in future webinars. But meeting customer demands for faster delivery, managing inventory and fulfillment, agility and adaptability, customer loyalty, attracting the perfect customer, converting customers into shoppers. All of these things, you can read them up here, are things that are challenges that as online business owners we are facing. But let's start out today with fraud prevention and security. The simple fact is your website is going to get hacked. I've been doing websites since the beginning of the internet, and I can assure you that almost every website gets hacked. Every 39 seconds, there's a new attack somewhere on the web. So it's only a matter of time before it happens to you. And cyber attacks are a very real threat, not just for big box stores where we see things like Home Depot and Target and even the US government getting hacked, but small businesses are even a bigger target because typically they don't have as strong a security measures in place. This has made cybercrime now a bigger criminal enterprise than even the drug trade, costing organizations over $6 trillion every year. So some of the things that you can do about this is you can change the WordPress admin. If you have a WordPress website, change the admin to whatever kind of website you have, but I'm going to use WordPress as an example here. Instead of simply going to mysite.com/wp-admin, make that be something unique. mysite.com/secure login, whatever your secret word is going to be. If you are using public Wi-Fi, make sure you're using a virtual private network. Use strong passwords that you change randomly and you save them in a password app so that you can remember them. Use two-factor authentication when you log in. Disable your comments. Avoid nulled or pirated plugins. Update frequently and create backups. So these are all things that will make your site much stronger. It may not totally prevent things, but you're going to be more secure than 99% of the websites that are out there. Now, there's actually a new public pick app out there that creates a great customer experience where you can turn your photographs into these illustrations. The only problem is that it steals your data, and the app was written by somebody in Russia, so the Russians are basically getting your data. That, of course, is ruining your customer experience. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of customer experience. Cybersecurity is obviously a part of that experience. The other thing that you need to remember is that your website is for your customer. It's not for you. And the details are super important. I want to share with you a video that someone sent me as a request to connect with me on LinkedIn. And this is, I'll just let the video here speak for itself.
Hey, Greg, Chris Ward here. Now, what I'm about to say a lot of weight to it, because I would describe myself as podcast junkie. When I found your show, I think I ate up like 3 or 4 episodes, and before I said, all right, Chris, you need to move on with your day. I just found it sort of like, I don't even know how to do it. I felt like I was in a library with just knowledge all around me and the texture of that room. That's how the interviews just sort of navigate, and there is just such a breadth to the learning that you guide us through. As I said, 5-star review, time well spent. So as I was listening to your show, I thought you and I could have a meaty conversation that would be of great value to your audience. Check out my backstory below, because people tell me all the time there's a lot more depth and scope to this than they originally understood. And I just would love to connect with you. And again, big fan.
Well, you can bet that after getting a personalized video like that, that was a great experience for me. It was personalized, and I obviously accepted her connection request, and I reached out to her.
Hey.
Now, a few weeks ago, I was at Knott's Berry Farm for my granddaughter's presentation. They were performing at Knott's Berry Farm. And the next day, we chose to go to Disneyland. And we got there early, before the park opened, so that we were one of the very first in line. And the picture that you're seeing here is the crowd that appeared behind us to get in line to ride the new Star Wars Rise of the Resistance ride. Absolutely insane. All these people wanted to go on the Star Wars ride. Now, why do people crowd into Disney and wait for hours to get on a ride? The answer is it's the experience. Disney makes the magic happen. Every detail is considered in the new Star Wars land. And this is what you need to do for your customer experience, from website security to the product page to the checkout process and the customer service that's received afterwards. So how do you make this happen in your business? Well, you need to remember that the details are important. It's part of the total experience. So yeah, that Disney had these big props like the Millennial Falcon that you see here, but even the refreshment stands. Take a look at this refreshment stand. It looked like it belonged. Remember, the details are important. And when you make the details important, you're going to become the only logical choice. If you saw these 3 Google lists, which one would you click on and why? Go ahead and put in the chat which one of these you would click on. If you're looking for a house painter and you saw these, which one would you click on? Okay, if you're like most people, the middle one, right? The one that's got 4.9 star reviews to Certa Pro painters. Now, why is that? Well, because they've got the most positive reviews out there. They are the logical choice. Now, how many Google reviews does your business have? And are you leveraging those reviews in your marketing? Reviews are the lifeblood of any online business. One of the things that I recommend that you do is that you create a short link to your Google review page. In my case, it's webstoresltd.com/Google. This makes it super easy for people to say, for you to tell people, hey, go to mywebsite.com/Google and leave me a positive review. In fact, if you're getting anything great out of today's presentation, remember that link, webstoresltd.com/Google, and you can leave a positive review there. And then you can use a plugin, Widgets Google Reviews, to embed those reviews onto your website. As you can see that we did here for my customer Quintessential Chocolates, and all of their reviews end up getting embedded right on their website so that they are now repurposing those reviews. The third challenge that I want to talk about today is running effective marketing campaigns. And I want to start by talking about the marketing genius of Elon Musk. Basically, he does some incredible marketing stunts. One of them, obviously, was he launched a Tesla into space. People talked about that for weeks afterwards. Heck, it's been a year probably now, and I'm still talking about it. Elon is not the only one to create great marketing campaigns. Jeff Bezos of Amazon is noted for his marketing stunts as well, like sending William Shatner into space. And then there was the drone delivery announcement. Don't know that they've ever effectively made this happen anywhere, but it created buzz forever. In fact, what I did is I went in and took advantage of that because it was a current event. And you can see here that I basically mocked this up, says new delivery by drone, where somebody could get my book, Amazon's Dirty Little Secrets. And then I had a friend who had a drone, and together we put together this video of the drone delivering the book after my friend Joel had ordered it. The result of that and creating effective marketing campaigns is that that book went to #1 on Amazon. I then did other things to kind of make sure that that would keep going by using what's called influencer marketing. And you can see here that I was with Donny Osmond and had him hold up my book so that it got more traction that way as well. So basically, take advantage of things that are current and in the news. Here's a great example of Burger King doing this, where all kids seem to love the poop emoji. So Burger King put it on their menu. Part of running an effective marketing campaign is search engine optimization or getting a page 1 ranking. That's the number one question that every web designer I've ever talked to gets asked. How can I get listed on page 1 of Google? We've been doing this for years, and we've actually got a proven method using YouTube videos where you don't have to pay huge sums of money or wait months to get ranked. And here's an example of that in action. You can see here that I did a search for Pakistan baskets, and there is a paid listing here on Etsy. Then there's some images here, some of which in fact are the images from my customer's website. But then you'll notice that this video here that we created for Merrimack Wholesale over 10 years ago is still the number one organic listing on Google, not just on YouTube. We can pretty much guarantee that you're going to get listed number one on YouTube, which is owned by Google. There's a good chance that you're going to get listed on Google as well. Certainly under the video tab, that will be the case, and perhaps on the blended search of Google as well. Text messaging is a great way for you to have an effective marketing campaign. Today, most people actually prefer text to phone calls, and it's like 97% of people open up text versus like 20 to 25% of people that open up emails. So if you're not actively building a database of mobile phone numbers you can use to reach out to your customers and drive them back to your business, you're missing out on the best digital marketing option that's available. Here's an idea that I actually learned, or at least relearned, when I went to the expo in Las Vegas, and that is to use business cards or to use gift cards instead of business cards. People tend to throw away business cards, but if you create a gift card and hand those out instead of business cards, you're likely to get more traction. So that's a great way to have an effective marketing campaign. Now, the fourth challenge is in choosing the right technology and partners and keeping up with the changing technology and trends. You can see that I've got listed up here on the screen a number of different shopping carts. Which one is the best? Which one should you be using? Should you be using WooCommerce or Shopify? Maybe you're just getting started and you want to use Wix, or you've got some reasons why you want to use BigCommerce or Magento. This is a challenge because there's actually more options available to people today than ever before on where you're going to sell your products. If you look at the market penetration of these, you can see that 1 out of every 2 online shops use either WooCommerce or Shopify to sell their merchandise. And over 4.4 million websites around the world are currently using WooCommerce. Because WooCommerce is open source, it's nowhere nearly as profitable as Shopify, because Shopify is a commercial application and they spend way more on marketing. So here are some of the pros and cons of WooCommerce versus Shopify. The fact is they're both great platforms. I build websites on both of them. They're both great for getting your online marketing empire going. And they will both help you with your brick and mortar stores as well. Shopify, it's easier to learn and get started quickly. WooCommerce is more flexible. It's open source. That gives you way more options, and it turns out it's actually more secure because of its open source capabilities as well. One of the things that I do, regardless of which platform that you choose, is I create a series of videos showing you how to perform the various functions on these different websites. So that may be a way to help you kind of overcome some of these challenges. But the shopping cart is not the only way you can sell online. And in fact, it's not even the only way you probably should be selling online. In addition to all of the different shopping cart platforms, you may also want to be selling on one or more marketplaces. And Amazon is obviously a choice for many small businesses to sell on, but Etsy, eBay, and Walmart are also popular. Overstock.com, fair if you're selling things at wholesale. The more places that you can sell online, actually, the more sales you're probably going to make. But obviously that then requires more effort on your part to keep up your product listing on all of these different platforms. The other thing that you may want to look at is, should I be selling via a sales funnel instead of a shopping cart? A sales funnel is basically where you have some kind of a landing page where it's only selling one product, and people can either say, yes, I want it, or no, I don't. And if they say, yes, I want it, you take them to an upsell page. If they say, no, I don't, you take them to a downsell page. And then you basically go through this funnel to where they finally get to the checkout page and they say, thank you. You are going to spend a lot of money if you go with a funnel specific page versus a shopping cart page. But I have created some links here that allow you to build these pages yourself directly inside of your website. And you may want to do a screen capture of these because this will allow you to build a funnel without having to go in and purchase a funnel builder. Another place that you may want to be selling is on social media sites. Many social media sites now allow you to sell your products directly on the pages of those sites. Here is an example of my Facebook page for Web Stores Limited, and you can see that I've got a shop on there, as well as my Instagram page. I have a shop on there. So you can sell on social media sites. It's called social selling. What about an app? You can sell on an app. Now, the fact is that apps may or may not be the right tool for your business. I've got a blog post coming out in a couple of weeks about whether or not you should be doing sales through an app, but this is another place that you might want to be considering. You can do email sales. Email sales, once you build up a list, you can direct somebody not just to say, hey, I've got this, and take them to the product page, but you could actually make your email be something where you have a button on here that says buy now, and utilizing the same link that I showed you before, you can take them directly to the checkout page. So someone, a link in your email, and go direct and buy that. There are chatbot and text messaging sales as options as well. And there are voice sales. Now, the voice sales are things that we typically think of like, hey, Alexa, put something in my shopping cart. Walmart partnered up with Google to kind of take on Amazon with their voice shopping. But the reality is that you can have voice shopping on your own website as well. You don't have to, basically you can compete with the big boys when it comes to doing voice shopping and voice sales. Some of the reasons why you might want to be considering this, of course, is that voice sales are not just the wave of the future. They are super expanding right now, as you can see from some of the quotes up here on the screen about how online shoppers who used voice spent $136 more on average than those who just shopped solely online. And that brands that redesign their websites to support voice search will increase their digital commerce revenue by 30%. And voice shopping is expected to reach $40 billion in the US this year. Finally, of what I'm going to talk about before I bring on my friend Ty here is the challenge of struggling to meet staffing needs amidst the current worker shortage. Now, one of the ways that you can do this is you can outsource a number of different tasks. I have a program that, unlike most coaching and consulting programs that have 3 of these 4 components, curriculum, coaching, and community, I've got a 4th area of content where I actually help people build out things on their website. Me and my staff act as an outsourcing agency for you if you have staffing shortages. So to talk just a little bit about each of these, the curriculum part of the coaching program is that every other week you get a 45-minute call with me where these are interactive calls and we address your needs. Then we do a monthly deep dive training presentation via Zoom where we have a new program every single time that covers all aspects of website management, online sales, and digital marketing. And you get every digital product that I've ever built, all of my courses, all of my digital books, everything as part of the coaching program. The coaching aspect, you get real-time coaching. You can ask me a question basically every single day if you want to via email. I'll even help you write your ads, your copy, whatever. You get 1 day each quarter in my virtual office where I spend an entire day with you and we work on as many of the problems in your business as we can. And I'll log into your website, your LinkedIn, your emails, ad accounts, whatever you want and help you personally. The content, when you sign up for my program, I will create and host a new website for you. I'll create and distribute a new podcast for you. I'll create graphics, ads, copywriting, videos, emails, sales funnel, whatever content is needed. And then we have a community of like-minded business owners where basically you get the opportunity to mastermind with these people and learn from others in the community. So what kind of results can you expect if you work with Web Stores Ltd? Well, you can see we have created sites for people that are actually selling significant amounts of money. This one here was, these stats are through March, it looks like, and they did $147,000 in sales. So you can see here what some other people are saying about having worked with me. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd rate Greg as a 15. Appreciate that. Now, you might be wondering, well, how much should a website actually be costing this year? And you can see from some of the research that we've done that the cost to build a website, which includes launching it, designing it, is going to be somewhere between $12,000 and $150,000. And then you've got routine maintenance ranging from $35 a month up to as much as $5,000 a month. You've got digital marketing pricing, and these costs are going to range even on the low end of like $2,500 to $12,000 a month. done for you services such as social media management. You're looking at anywhere from $1,000 a month to $20,000 a month for a bigger company. SEO pricing is going to include all these different things where you can see that even overseas companies are going to charge between $10 and $50 an hour. So I kind of put all of these together, and the cost to run an online business, and this is a major challenge for a lot of folks that are on here, I know, is that it can get expensive. You're looking at your website of $1,000, your maintenance of $35 a month, digital marketing, social media, SEO, security. Even on the low end, you're looking at over $7,000 a month, or about $85,000 a year. If you were to just go out and hire a webmaster, an entry-level person is going to cost you about $57,000 a year. If you're going to go out and hire a digital marketing specialist, it's going to cost you about $71,000 a year. So those two things alone are a lot of money. Well, I'm going to show you right now how you can save all that money. Basically, with the coaching and consulting program that I offer, it's only $1,000 a month. And you might be saying, why so cheap? And the reality is that I want you to be successful. And I know you're going to need money for inventory and marketing. Maybe you're going to have to buy software, all these different things. And that is what my coaching program is all about. Now, before I turn this over to Ty, I want to share one other story with you. And that is about my neighbor. I had a young teenage gal that was my pet sitter. And the last time that I needed to have someone come over and take care of my cat, she came over and said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this for you this time, but I got to tell you that I'm now a TikTok influencer. And I was like, yeah, whatever, you know, I didn't kind of took it with a grain of salt. And I was like, well, how many followers do you have? And she said, 12 million. And I was like, 12 million followers? And she's like, yeah. And so I can really can't afford to be pet sitting your cat anymore. Well, a couple of months later, I looked her up. This is a picture of her. This is Brooke. She now has 20 million followers. She has 2.5 million subscribers on her YouTube channel. She's selling her own line of products, as well as basically creating these influencer videos for a bunch of different manufacturers on TikTok. What I wished is that when she came over here, she went out and she moved out of her parents' house. She bought a house with cash. I wished I had said, Brooke, be my coach. I need someone with your skills and having done this before to show me how this is possible. So these are some of the challenges that I have covered today, and I've given you an example of what I can do for you to help you overcome the challenges. You may still have some questions that you're wondering about: shipping, POS integration, returns, print on demand, advertising costs, email. Like I said, we're going to have some additional webinars in the future, but my offer to you today for the first 15 people is I'm going to give you a free strategy session. We'll talk about your business. We'll talk about if the coaching program that I've outlined here makes sense for you. If it doesn't, that's okay. We're going to create a plan and you can go out and implement it yourself, or you may decide, we may decide together that it makes more sense for us to work together. Either way, you're going to leave the call with 100% clarity and confidence in the next step of your journey. So to take advantage of that, just go to webstoresltd.com/strategy or text the word coach to 720-779-3363. And with that, I'm going to talk, or I'm not going to talk, but I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Ty Talbot, who's going to talk about the lack of capital and cash flow as a challenge in your business, which you can see is currently the #1 non-COVID challenge faced by business owners. So let me give control to Ty, if I can figure this out here. I believe you're on, Ty, and you can share your screen.
There we go. Can you hear
Awesome.
me loud
Thanks.
and clear? We good?
We're good. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here. It's been very informative thus far. So I appreciate all the knowledge you've been sharing. And then let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll get this presentation going. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks again, Greg. So just starting out, again, obviously, I'm here today to talk a little bit about money, to talk about business funding and finances here. And so I always like to lead in with this quote, because sometimes when we talk a little bit about money or debt and personal debt and business debt, it gets a little bit scary. But I want to remind everyone here today, Greg, that money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. And most of us here know that. We're business owners, we're entrepreneurs, we're trying to build a side hustle, or we're trying to build a different life for us and our families. Remember that as you're getting going, as it's getting challenging, or you feel like you're having a hard day, you're not making a lot of sales. Money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. Get that money working for you. Now, as we talk about e-commerce businesses, I've been working with e-commerce businesses over 10 years now. Actually, before I got into funding, I was a coach. I sold softwares to help people source product on Amazon. And then I coached them on how to find suppliers and how to set up wholesale relationships. So I get it, right? I understand what so many people are going through. And the top concern that I receive from e-commerce clients, what do you think it is? What do I sell? All right, Ty, what on earth do I sell? Where do I find my products? Where do I find inventory? How do I find a drop shipping company or a physical product, whatever it may be, whatever vertical, whatever approach they're taking, it is always, what do I sell? So as I started thinking about this more and more, I started doing some research on my own. I call this Inventoryscotoma. Okay, now Inventoryscotoma, let's break that down. A scotoma, and I always say, you know, I'm willing to give someone a $50 Amazon gift card if they know what that is. And I'm to this point, other than when I presented to a group of doctors a couple weeks ago, no one knew what it was. Okay, a scotoma is a spot in the visual field in which vision is absent or it's deficient, right? You can't see what's right in front of you. Case in point, right? Say last night, my wife asked me, hey, Ty, will you get the ranch dressing? I open the fridge and I can't see it. It's right in front of me, but I can't see it. I look and look and look and, you know, throw in the towel. Sorry, babe, I can't find it. She comes over, maybe she's standing at a different angle and says, you dummy, it's right there, and grabs the ranch dressing. It was right in front of me, but I couldn't see it. Okay, how do we fix this? The way we fix a scotoma or an inventory scotoma is we adjust our circumstances and we'll see what we previously couldn't. Or we, and not or, but and we need to learn how to develop this abundance mindset. Now, I can't tell you how many times a client comes and starts working with me and says, Ty, you know, I'm just starting this really, really small. I only have a couple $100 I want to put into inventory. Great, fantastic, but that's really restricting the amount of product and the different types of research they can be doing. So I'll sit down and say, look, you don't need to take any money, but let's see what you're qualified for. I help them get access to $20,000. Now they're looking at different kinds of products they could buy, different quantities of product they can buy. And all of a sudden, with higher quantities, the profit margins make sense. And because they're looking at this from a different circumstance, there's all sorts of products they could sell. They just didn't realize that, even though they had access to them, they could have looked them up, they could have done the research. They didn't think to look at it with that approach until they saw what they were qualified for. Okay, that right there is how we fix this inventoryscotoma, or that's one approach, and that's an approach that I love to take. Okay, the second aspect of this is we need to develop this abundance mindset. Okay, abundance versus scarcity. When we look at this here, someone with an abundance mindset has the mindset of there will always be more. Whereas scarcity, on the other hand, is, there's never going to be enough. Abundance mindset says they're going to collaborate to stay on top. They're going to work with the right groups and the right teams versus competing to stay on top, saying, I'm not going to share any of my secrets because then, they're going to compete with me. I can tell you there's enough to sell out there. There are plenty of people that need us people selling things online. Okay, someone with an abundance mindset embraces change. A scarcity mindset fears change. They don't want to adapt. An abundance mindset is going to share knowledge freely versus a scarcity mindset is not willing to share anything. An abundance mindset is generous with others versus scarcity. They won't help anyone. They're just worried about themselves and finding their own product, and they don't want anyone else to know what they're doing. An abundance mindset believes the pie is getting bigger, and a scarcity mindset thinks the pie is shrinking. Okay. And lastly here, the abundance mindset, they think big and they embrace risk, right? There's education behind that risk, and we're going to talk about that. But a scarcity mindset, they just think really small and they want to avoid risk at all costs. Okay. Again, abundance versus scarcity. If we can learn to change our circumstances and develop an abundance mindset, I can tell you right now that finding products to sell will no longer be your problem. We just need to now figure out, okay, how do we afford them? So I asked the question here, is debt always bad? And I'm going to be sensitive about this. I'll tell you right now, Greg, you already know this about me. I was raised by a third grade school teacher and my mom. My father was a CPA of 40 something years. He's recently retiring. They were very, very, very conservative folks. And I remember being paid like 25 cents every time I'd finish one of those, you know who I'm talking about, the debt is very, very bad cassettes. Not going to mention names here, but 25 cents to finish a cassette, teaching me about why debt was a terrible thing. And I believed that for a long time. And I think with personal credit, if you're taking on debt to go get a new TV, yeah, there's a lot of instances debt, it can be really, really bad. Right? I'm not saying that you should take out debt for everything, but there is a big, big, big difference between personal debt and business debt. And that's where so many people get confused. That's where this misconception falls here. Personal debt, it's taking on debt with no expectation of a greater return. Like I explained here, a new TV. If someone came to me and said, Ty, can you help me get $5,000 with 0% for 24 months so I can go buy this new TV for my house? I'd probably say no. I think that's a bad debt. Save up for the new TV and go get it when you're ready. Now, business debt, on the other hand, it's not taking on debt with an expectation of a greater return, right? We expect a greater return every time we go to Vegas. That's not a smart debt. To take out a business debt to go to Vegas, that's terrible. But taking on debt with an educated expectation of a greater return is a good debt. I was literally talking to a client earlier today that wanted $10,000 to get a batch of inventory. We help them get the money. I say, hey, let me know, once you're done with that, or once these accounts season, give me a call back in a few months. We can help you get more. His response was, well, Ty, hopefully when I do this, I don't need debt anymore. Say, well, sir, you understand companies like Google and companies like Under Armour still leverage debt today. Debt is a very, very powerful tool. You've got to get that money working for you. And the reason I picked these two companies, Google and Under Armour, which most of us have already used Google today, and in fact, I would say that every single one of us have used Google or are currently using Google right now. But these two companies specifically, very, very, very early on, were on the verge of bankruptcy before any of us had ever even heard about them. And guess what? They are staying afloat today, or not even afloat. They are thriving today simply because they leveraged credit cards. Yes, personal credit cards from the founders. That's how they floated payroll. That's how they floated rent. That's how they stayed afloat for a few months, because they had an educated expectation of a greater return. So when we break this down, we talk about our business, how many of you would like to leverage other people's money with 0% interest for up to 2 years? Yes, 2 years. That's not a typo. We're actually doing 2 years of 0% interest with a lot of different lenders right now. But to be able to use this money to pay for inventory, to purchase training, to pay for marketing, to pay for software. For some of us to simply take high interest debt and move it over to 0% interest so we can finally get ahead and let the money start working for us. Okay, think about that kind of advantage that gives you. Think about how this can help you to be able to do all of your inventory and not have to worry about any interest for 2 years. That's a lot of time to really get things going there. So those of you that are watching this right now and think, you know what, I do have an Inventoryscotoma, or I know exactly what I want to sell and I want to see what I can qualify for. I want to see how I can expand this business and take it to the next level. Here's why I think you should see what you can qualify for. Here's why I think you should get pre-qualified. First and foremost, this reason right here should be enough on itself, alone, in and of itself. There's no hard credit pull. This won't impact your credit whatsoever. The way our system works, we have the ability to do a soft check. We don't need your social. We don't need any of that private information just to get you pre-qualified. So number one, it's not going to hurt your credit. Number two, I want you to see how much you can qualify for. I want to see what you can receive in funding, because that gets those entrepreneurial gears to start turning in your mind and helps you start to think like a business owner and not like a consumer. And that's when the business starts to take off. I can tell you right now, with all the students that I've worked with, and I'm sure Greg will say the same, when people start to think like business owners and not consumers, the sky's the limit. It's not about what you'd be willing to buy. It's not about what you'd be willing to spend. It's what the market is telling us. I want you to see your score, right? This is the third reason. I want you to know how your credit score works, how your business credit score works, the different factors that are impacting that. Because I can tell you right now, the scoring systems that lenders are using today are extremely different than the scoring systems that they used 5 years ago. And the scoring system that Credit Karma uses, or these other groups that give you your Vantage score, have nothing to do with the scoring systems that real lenders are using. I want you to know and understand that, and we're happy to teach you. I want you to utilize our Money Manager. This is a new software that we launched recently. We've been working on it for well over a year, but you finally now have a spot where you can put all of your accounts in one space, in one spot. Your credit cards, utilities, mortgages, bank accounts, everything in one spot, and create budgets and separate, this is personal, this is business, and know where you stand financially, plus have your credit factors, everything in one spot with the group that's actually helping you get funding, so we know how to help you continue to grow. Okay. The fifth reason here, I want you to get a credit repair solution. I know every single person watching this right now is not going to qualify. It's a statistic. And in fact, about 30% of people in America right now wouldn't qualify. And that's okay. It happens, right? Even many, many times it happens incorrectly. But that doesn't mean we tuck our tail between our legs and say, oh, well, I can't get funding, so I'm not even going to try. Well, if you don't try, you're not going to get funding next year and the next year and the next year, because the credit system's broken. And they will find a way to keep reporting these negative items if you don't get it taken care of. We do have solutions for you. We have both free and paid solutions. We want to help you get funding. Even our paid solutions, you get all of the money back in a credit once you go through funding with us. We're not a credit repair company. We want to help you get funding if you want to get funding. I want you to be able to strategize with a credit expert, kind of like I talked about, to see what your possibilities are to help you start to think like a business owner, to see what options you have. And then lastly, I want you to be able to offer, depending on your different products out there. I know a lot of you may have your own products on your own websites, and you may want to offer financing yourself. If you want to offer financing, you want to give 0% interest solutions to your clients, by all means, or to your buyers, by all means. We want to help you get that set up. So for any of you that want to see what you can qualify for today, again, it does not hurt your credit. You're going to go to www.sevenfigures.app/web stores. Okay. Again, on some browsers, you actually do have to type the www. So if it's just sitting there spinning and it's not loading up, it's because you need to type the www. So do www.sevenfigures.app/web stores. Notice there's no .com. Get a lot of people saying, Ty, it doesn't work, and they're going sevenfigures.com. No, just www.sevenfigures.app/web stores, and you'll go ahead and click apply now. Right there, it's going to tell you a little bit about our process, show you our Google reviews, see what you think. By all means, do your homework. We have a very, very strong presence on there. Once you click get qualified or apply now, it's going to ask for your basic information. Like I said, I don't need your social security number. We don't need to dive into that right now. First things first, let's see what you can qualify, and let's see if we can make it make sense for you. At this point, name, address, date of birth. If you have a business, great. Enter that information. If you don't have a business yet, that's okay. You don't need to have an entity or an LLC to be able to work with us. We work with pre-launch businesses all the time. At that point, you click submit. Once you click submit, it's going to allow you to create a password. And this gives you access to our 7 Figures portal. It's called My Figures. Inside of My Figures is where you'll see if you're pre-approved. You'll have the ability to schedule a call. You can upload your financials. You can connect your bank accounts, your credit cards, see your credit factors, see your net worth, create budgets. All of that right there will teach you how to utilize it, how to leverage it. Anybody that's working with us will have access to this. Lastly, step 4, you're going to get a text message, you're going to get an email, and you'll have a link inside that portal to schedule a time to meet with your 7 Figures team member. We're going to go over the entire process with you. We'll do a deep dive into your specific business, how you can use funding if it makes sense, what you're qualified for, help you create a roadmap. Ultimately, we want to build the foundation for the long-term financial health of your business here. And the very first step of that would just be, that soft apply, that soft pre-approval. Let's see what we can do today and then help you continue to grow. Because again, remember, money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. Let's make sure we're getting that money working for us. Again, Greg, thank you for having me. I love this community. I love this group. I've worked with a lot of your clients in the past. They're very, very motivated, engaged individuals and entrepreneurs. So even if someone just has a question, they're welcome to submit an application and just say, hey, I don't want a pre-approval. I just wanted to talk to you, Ty, and ask you a question. So whatever we can do to help serve your community, we're here.
That was awesome. Appreciate it, Ty. And anybody that's got any questions at this point, let's go ahead and put those in the chat. And I'm just trying to look here real quickly at the chat to see if I missed anything. Doesn't look like it. But for the people that are listening to this, I really encourage you to take Ty up on what he is offering here. There's, like you said, there's no obligation. There's no cost to do this. Just see if you can get funding. It will help you grow your business. You can utilize that funding actually for the coaching services that I talked about. You can utilize it for inventory. You can utilize it for software. You can utilize it to pay your rent, whatever you need for your business. And I really recommend that you do that. So just to go over the 2 offers that we have made here today, which tie together nicely. It was done that way on purpose. My coaching offer, where you can get a free strategy call and Ty's offer where you can apply to see if you can get funding.
Let me add one thing, Greg. I just noticed here that that Mitch actually put in the chat box that a scotoma was a blind spot, and I think that was mentioned before I even told anyone. So Mitch, if you do submit an application, I'll have your email, I'll have your phone number. I'll send you that gift card. I'm impressed. That's the first of e-commerce clients to know what a scotoma is.
It's Mitch is a smart guy. I've been working with him for years. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sweet. Well, yeah, Mitch, go ahead and submit that. We'll send you that gift card. I'm happy to work with you on that. And Greg, like you mentioned, our funding is perfect to be able to work with a coach, to be able to work with a group. Because to me, working with someone like you, Greg, that is an educated expectation, right? That they are educating themselves to be able to go out and build a business. And that's the type of client that I love to fund and love to work with. So appreciate you continuing to do this education. It's very powerful.
You bet. So hopefully everybody got something out of this today. If you did, I told you earlier about going to webstoresltd.com/Google. Leave us a 5-star review here for all the great education you received today. And I think with that, I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks again, Ty, for joining us here today, and we'll do it again.
Thanks, guys. Take care.